General Hospital spoilers reveal that Kristina has always been the most precious gem in Alexis's heart. A favor that has never been publicly acknowledged but is evident through every action and decision over the years. This special relationship stems from Kristina's tragic birth circumstances. She is the child born from the forbidden love affair between Alexis and Sonny, hidden and protected since her earliest days. Over the years, despite Kristina making countless mistakes, from rebellious teenage behavior to poor decisions in love and career, Alexis has always stood behind her daughter, ready to protect her at any cost. However, the madness began when Kristina took action to sabotage Ava's car, pushing this mother-daughter bond to a previously unseen extreme. Kristina's impulsive action was driven not only by personal hatred but also by the pain of losing a child, an emotional wound that would never heal. But what Kristina didn't anticipate was that the car had been borrowed, and the person who would bear the consequences was not Ava, but Liz, a well-respected and beloved nurse in the Port Charles community. Upon learning that her daughter's actions had inadvertently caused Liz's tragic death, Alexis fell into extreme panic. First came denial, then rage, and ultimately, intense fear as she realized there was no way for Kristina to escape this crime. The evidence was too clear, and the consequences too severe. As a seasoned attorney, Alexis understood better than anyone that her daughter faced a long prison sentence, possibly even life. In the sleepless nights that followed, when all legal options were dismissed, a new shift in Alexis's mindset began to take shape. It started as a fleeting thought, but gradually, it became a detailed plan, step by step. Alexis decided she would take the fall for her daughter. If one of us has to go to prison, it should be me, Alexis told herself. Kristina still has her whole life ahead of her. With her deep legal knowledge accumulated over decades of practice, Alexis began constructing a perfect story about how she herself had cut the brake line on Ava's car. She fabricated false evidence, created a personal motive related to her past conflict with Ava, and even prepared a detailed confession. Every step was carefully calculated to ensure there were no loopholes that could lead back to Kristina. Alexis even went further by ensuring that Jordan, the Port Charles police chief, would be the one to arrest her. She knew that with Jordan's serious and impartial nature, there would be no doubt about the authenticity of the confession. Alexis also mentally prepared for Diane, her colleague and closest friend, to be her legal representative, the only one who could understand her true motive without needing to say a word. This shocking action not only rocked the Port Charles community but also raised profound questions about the boundaries of motherhood. Alexis's loved ones, particularly Sonny, immediately began to doubt the authenticity of the confession. Sonny, as Kristina's father and someone who had a complicated relationship with Alexis, knew both of them well. Even so, he could not openly oppose it without revealing the truth, putting Kristina in a dangerous position. When Alexis officially confessed and was arrested, Liz's death was confirmed as the result of a deliberate plot, no longer just a tragic accident. This triggered a chain reaction in the Port Charles community. Liz's family, especially her children, demanded full justice. Lucky, who still had deep feelings for Liz, had to face the reality that his longtime friend Alexis might be the killer. Molly, Alexis's youngest daughter, was shocked to learn that her mother, the woman who had always taught her about morality and justice, could commit such a ruthless act. But no one was affected more than Kristina. She knew the truth. That her mother was sacrificing everything to protect her. Every time she saw Alexis in a prison uniform, every time she read articles condemning her mother, Kristina felt her heart breaking. She was torn between unbearable guilt and deep gratitude. Many times, Kristina nearly confessed the truth, but Alexis stopped her. "You can't do that," Alexis said during a prison visit. Her voice firm but her eyes full of love. "This is my choice, and I won't let you destroy your life because of one mistake." Each day in the cold cell at Port Charles prison, Alexis told herself that this was the only way to save her daughter. She tried to adjust to her new life, with new rules, even beginning to offer legal counsel to other inmates. But in her lonely moments, when the darkness enveloped her and no one was watching, Alexis couldn't stop wondering whether this sacrifice was worth it. and if Kristina was strong enough to live with this truth for the rest of her life. Meanwhile, in Port Charles, an undercover investigation was underway. Lucky, with his police instincts and feelings for Liz, began to doubt Alexis's confession. He noticed inconsistencies in the story, details that only the real perpetrator could know. And as Lucky started following Kristina, noticing signs of guilt and worry, he gradually moved closer to the truth, a truth that could flip everything on its head again. The story of Alexis's sacrifice was not just a story about unconditional motherhood, but also about the boundaries of ethics, the price of poor decisions, and the power of forgiveness. As the whole of Port Charles followed the developments of the case, the biggest question was no longer who really cut the brake lines, but whether the truth could bring justice for everyone. Molly stood outside the prison door, her red eyes glaring at her mother through the thick glass. She couldn't accept seeing Alexis, a renowned lawyer, a strong mother, now wearing the light orange prison uniform. In Molly's mind, there was no justification for her mother's shocking confession about cutting the brake lines on Ava's car, the indirect cause of Liz's death. With her sharp intellect and legal knowledge inherited from her mother, Molly quickly realized that this was a setup that could only have been staged to protect someone. This insane act by Alexis triggered a new control mechanism in Molly. She began to observe, watch, and analyze every behavior of Kristina, from her reaction when she heard about Alexis's arrest, to how she avoided discussions about Liz's accident. Every new discovery strengthened Molly's belief that it was Kristina, not her mother, who was behind this tragedy. The obsessive adjustment occurring within Molly was concerning. The young woman, once balanced and rational, now became extreme in her actions. Molly began gathering evidence, secretly rummaging through Kristina's things, tracking her calls and texts, and even reaching out to those who might have seen Kristina near the scene on that fateful day. All of this was done with one purpose, to prove Kristina's guilt and free Alexis. While Molly quietly built a case against her sister, Kristina also began to notice a change in Molly's behavior. At first, Kristina thought it was just a natural response to their mother's arrest. But gradually, she realized something deeper and more dangerous was unfolding. The scrutinizing looks, the probing questions, and especially how Molly started showing up in unexpected places, all pointed to a storm brewing. The tension between Kristina and Molly escalated quickly, far beyond a typical sibling disagreement. In a tense confrontation at Alexis's house, where they were packing up their mother's belongings, Molly directly accused Kristina. "I know it was you," Molly said, her voice cold and terrifying. "I know you were the one who cut the brake line and killed Liz. And I won't let Mom take the fall for you." Kristina, although mentally prepared for this moment, couldn't hide her panic. Her worst nightmare was coming true. Not only was her mother in prison because of her, but now her sister knew the truth and was becoming the biggest threat. Molly's obsession with protecting Alexis and Kristina's fear of being discovered created a dangerous momentum. The two sisters, once bonded and supportive through the toughest times, were now adversaries in a fight neither wanted to participate in. Molly, with her determination and intelligence, was gradually tightening the noose. Kristina, with her desperation and survival instincts, was considering options she had never thought of before. Sonny, Kristina's father and a powerful figure in Port Charles's underworld, began noticing the strange dynamic between the two sisters. He understood that if Molly continued down this path, not only Kristina but also Alexis would face unforeseen consequences. Sonny began intervening, attempting to reconcile the two sisters, but inadvertently making things more complicated by being forced to choose sides. Inside the prison, Alexis also saw the danger that was forming. Through the separate visits from her two daughters, she gradually realized that her plan was having unforeseen consequences, deepening the rift between Kristina and Molly. Alexis began to wonder whether her sacrifice was truly protecting her family, or if it was pushing them into a far more brutal internal war. As the tension between Kristina and Molly reached its peak, an unexpected event occurred that changed everything. A new witness came forward, someone who had seen Kristina near the car on that fateful day. This information quickly reached Jordan, who was investigating the case with many doubts about Alexis's confession. At the same time, Lucky Spencer, still grieving Liz's loss, also began following this lead. Now, Kristina not only had to face pursuit from her sister but also from the justice system. She found herself cornered, with no way out. Meanwhile, Molly faced the toughest choice of her life, whether to continue pursuing the truth to free her mother or protect her family by staying silent about what she knew. Molly's obsession with protecting Alexis and Kristina's extreme fear created a situation that no one could control. The two sisters, once allies in every battle, were now facing off in a fight with no winner, only victims and irreparable wounds. As Port Charles closely followed the developments of the case, the question was no longer whether the truth would come out, but what price the Davis Corinthos family would have to pay for the long-held secrets and lies. And at the center of this storm were the two sisters, Kristina and Molly, two young women who had to face unimaginable choices in their journey for justice and to protect the people they loved. The story surrounding the Davis Corinthos family is becoming increasingly complex and tragic as long-hidden secrets from the past come to light. Not only has Alexis confessed to taking the blame for Kristina in the accident that caused Liz's death, but the public of Port Charles is now shocked as another horrifying truth is revealed. Alexis had also confessed to covering up for her daughter in the case involving John's death many years ago. 2 murders, 2 sacrifices, all for the sake of one child. Alexis's actions have crossed the line of normal maternal love and entered the realm of madness. As details of the John case are uncovered, many begin to question the true danger posed by Kristina and Alexis's ability to cover up crimes. The charges against the renowned attorney have escalated from manslaughter to a series of complicity in serious criminal cases. While the filmmakers are struggling with the complex adjustments to this storyline, a real shock has occurred off-screen. Lee Grahn, the veteran actress who portrayed Alexis Davis for over 2 decades, made controversial statements on social media, leading to her decision to leave General Hospital. Her comments, deemed discriminatory and insensitive, sparked a backlash from fans and colleagues, putting the producers in a difficult position. Grahn's sudden departure created a double disaster for the show, losing a talented actress integral to a central character and facing the challenge of concluding Alexis's storyline sensibly while the plot is at its peak. The writers have been working around the clock to rewrite the script, adjust the plot points, and figure out how to write Alexis out of the story without harming the continuity of the show. Speculation on how Alexis's character will be handled is spreading among the fan community. Some believe Alexis will die in prison, creating a tragic yet fitting end to her sacrifice. Others predict she will be sent to a psychiatric facility after being diagnosed with a mental disorder. There are also theories that Alexis will fake her death and run away, leaving room for a possible return with a new actress in the future. Meanwhile, the remaining cast members must take on greater responsibility to fill the void left by Grahn. Specifically, Kate Monsey and Kristen Vaganos are under pressure to portray their characters' reactions to this new upheaval. Molly, who had been fighting to prove her mother's innocence, now faces a far more complicated reality. Kristina, burdened with double guilt, must decide whether to confess everything and free her mother or continue living in lies. This event not only impacts the Davis Corinthos family's storyline but also sends ripples throughout the entire Port Charles community. Sonny, as Kristina's father and someone who has had a complicated relationship with Alexis, must make difficult decisions on how to protect his daughter. Jason and Sam, who were once close to Alexis, are also drawn into the whirlwind of secrets and tough moral choices. General Hospital, with its 62-year history on air, is no stranger to sudden personnel and storyline changes. However, the combination of a tragic storyline and the controversial departure of a key actor has presented one of the biggest challenges the show has ever faced. How the filmmakers resolve this situation will not only shape the future of the involved characters but also impact the direction of the show in the years to come. As viewers eagerly await the next development, one thing is certain: Alexis Davis's story, no matter how it ends, will leave an indelible mark on the history of General Hospital. And the consequences of her actions will continue to affect Port Charles long after the character has left the screen. Kristina, despite witnessing the catastrophic aftermath of the first plot aimed at Ava, has not given up on her revenge. While Port Charles is engulfed in chaos after Alexis takes the blame for her daughter and long-buried secrets are exposed, Kristina quietly plans a new, much darker and more dangerous act than before. Kristina's obsession with Ava has gone beyond ordinary hatred and has become a form of mental disorder. She no longer sees the connection between her actions and the heartbreaking consequences they cause. In Kristina's mind, Ava is still the source of all her suffering. And only when Ava is gone will her family find peace. This time, Kristina is no longer targeting Ava's car. Her new plan is far more complicated and subtle, striking at Ava's biggest vulnerability. Avery, the young daughter Ava has with Sonny. Kristina has begun plotting to kidnap Avery. Not to harm the child but to make Ava experience the excruciating pain of losing her child, a pain Kristina believes Ava deserves. This insane event is not only shocking because of its cruelty but also because it reveals the alarming deterioration in Kristina's mental state. She has crossed the line from a young woman in pain to a dangerous avenger, willing to harm her own sister to achieve her goal. This is especially shocking because Kristina was once a trusted older sister who always protected her siblings. As clues about Kristina's new plan start to surface, those around her begin to notice the dangerous signs. Michael, Kristina's brother, notices she has been following Avery's pickup schedule. Sam discovers Kristina is researching tranquilizers and how to use them safely for children. And Molly, in an effort to gather evidence about her sister's previous crimes, accidentally uncovers detailed notes on Ava and Avery's schedules along with a map of escape routes from Port Charles. Kristina's next crime proves that she is not just a young woman who is wounded but a real danger to the community. This act also raises the question of Sonny's responsibility. As a father who has fostered a culture of violence and revenge in his family, is Kristina truly the perpetrator, or is she simply a product of the environment she grew up in? As Kristina moves closer to carrying out her plan, those around her begin to realize the gravity of the situation. Sonny, despite his unconditional love for his daughter, is forced to face the fact that Kristina has become a threat to her own family. Carly, with her strong instinct to protect her children, begins taking steps to safeguard Avery. And Molly, now certain of her sister's guilt, faces the hardest decision of her life. Should she notify the police about Kristina's impending action? The biggest shock comes when Kristina's plan is discovered just hours before it is set to take place. A violent confrontation ensues, where Kristina finally reveals all the pain and anger she has accumulated over time. She admits not only to plotting against Ava but also to her role in Liz and John's deaths. Even more shocking, Kristina reveals that Alexis not only took the fall for her but also helped her cover up evidence in John's case. These revelations not only shake Port Charles to its core but also raise profound questions about the nature of love, forgiveness, and the boundaries of family loyalty. When Kristina is finally forced to face the consequences of her actions, the question is no longer whether she will be held accountable but whether she can be redeemed or if it is too late to turn back. Kristina's new crime has pushed General Hospital's storyline into uncharted dark territory, challenging the audience to confront tough moral questions and opening a new tragic chapter for the Corinthos Davis family, a chapter from which no one will escape without being forever changed.